Birdly, hello, and I really hope that today has been as full of joy as possible. Um, yeah, it's been not a bad day at all for me. A lot of good things have happened, and yeah, I'm smiling a lot. So I know you don't really want to know that. In fact, no, it's not really relevant at all to what I'm about to do, which is to continue with Crow Country, which you, clever lady, identified immediately without me having to tell you. Right. We got as far as it's a direct continuation of where I left off the other day, and it's page 3 of my paperback edition, if you are reading along. And Mr. Crocker had just sensed some kind of unease in the flock as they sort of almost as one developed a random, no, not a sort of centripetal motion towards the way that they were all standing and squawking on the ground. Anyway, he described it better than I could, so you'll just have to listen again if you remember. I'm sure you do remember. Anyway, this is what he says after that. It begins almost casually. A single concentrated stream of birds breaks for the trees. The stands of trees that have remained almost unnoticed until this point. Inconsequential while the drama built all around them, the woods known as Buckenham Cars, I won't spell that, but Buckenham Cars, have grown steadily darker with the onset of night. Now that they have moved centre stage, they have become a brooding cavity in the landscape. The birds pour into the airspace above it in ever-growing numbers, and they mount in the air until there are so many, and the accompanying calls so loud, that I instinctively search for marine images to convey both the sea roar of sounds and the blurry underwater shapes of the flock. It becomes a gyroscope of tightly packed fish, roiling and twisted by the tide. It has the loose, transparent fluidity of a jellyfish, or the globular formlessness of an amoeba, one that spreads for 1.5 kilometers across the heavens. Even as the spectacle unfolds and captivates me, I am restlessly scanning back and forth, slightly on edge because I don't want to miss a thing. I pan back with my binoculars to the original carpet of black across the field from which the tide of birds first rose. I look back to this initial tableau because it has a magic of its own. For no matter how many thousands of crows have poured away from the grounded mass, the original volume seems as great as ever. This mysterious self-renewing property of the flock persists sometimes for minutes, until finally, the numbers start to diminish. Then there is a curious and opposing sense of satisfaction. When the flow ceases altogether, you realize that this fantastic tumult involving tens of thousands of birds is finite, after all. The thing is compassible. It has limits. It's framed within the natural laws on which you rely. You're not going to float away to some crazy zone where blackbirds boil up from the earth forever. It brings a momentary steadiness before I try to encompass once more the gathering across the trees. It is no longer a flock of birds. Each occasion I see these protean swirls rise, they act like some ink blot test, drawing images out of my unconscious. Sometimes they seem like something you saw before you left the womb, before your eyes first open, an entopic vision buried deep beneath the avalanche of waking experience. Black dust motes sinking steadily through the gentle oil of sleep. Tonight the flock blossoms are as an immense night flower, and, while beautiful and mysterious, it always stirs something edgy into my sense of wonder. It is the feeling that in viewing the unnumbered and unnumberable birds, I am tipped towards the state of confusion which that inchoate twisting swerve so perfectly represents. I freely confess that on the unforgettable occasions when I see 40,000 corvids take flight in one oceanic roar of dark shapes and dark sounds, a part of my sense of joy is the frisson of danger the spectacle excites. Quite simply, I am at the limits of what my mind can comprehend, or my imagination can articulate. I've enjoyed this moment of the rooks and jackdaws flying to their night-time roost on hundreds of occasions. Over the last 5 years, I've watched the constituent species many thousands of times. For rooks, I've travelled as far as Cornwall and Aberdeenshire, Spain and Turkey. I've watched other species roost in Tunisia, in Portugal, and in Greece. The moment has never lost its initial thrill, and one special ancillary pleasure is now showing it to others and watching their reaction. Wonderful, they often say. Amazing. This book is all about that moment, about the ritual and the elements of the natural world. The light, the environment, the birds, myself, which help create it. It's about how that moment has affected my life and has helped define an entire landscape. It is these things which I call Crow Country. And that's the end of that chapter, Birdley. I can't wait to read more of that for you. I'm really groggy and dopey tonight, so I think I'll leave it there, because I think that was a nice place to leave it. Right. I hope I can sleep, and I hope you can happily do whatever you want to do as well. Speak to you whenever. All the best. Bye-bye.